Let me go ahead and turn that off. All right. Good afternoon. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We get into our don't start with me. Run DMC. Yeah, it's just a little bit. Like my hats. I like my hats. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into midweek mindset. Let me go ahead and mute this. All right. All right. So let's get this party started. I know this week was very interesting, right? It had its little bit of challenges along the way, but I know at the end of the day, every one of you are going to go ahead and knock this out the park. All right. So let's go ahead and get this party started. So as you know, this is my schedule. So if you needed to go come and be able, oops, get that out of the way. My caption is popping up, right? If you want to go ahead and book me for a one-on-one, the QR code is right there. Also, my live trading floors, those are my times and charting class and mindset. And today is our 5 o'clock mindset. So let's go ahead and get this party started. All right. So today is the midweek mindset reset. So the goal here is for us to go ahead and look at Wednesday for wisdom, so that way on the weekend we could go ahead and cheer all of our wins. I want to go ahead and refuel all of your fire, your passion, and everything for trading, because the market can beat you up every so often. So the goal here is for us to get back to our bare bones. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So I want to start with, at the end of the day, we have a big problem, right? So one of the biggest things that we have is fear, right? So when we're taking on our challenges from the mindset of fear, right? We're trying to get into our trade. The first reaction that we have is usually, all right, I am afraid of what the market can do or cannot do, right? So our first reaction is usually fear. But if we can get past the anxiety with our proper trading plans, proper structures, proper strategies, I gave y'all a couple of the acronyms that's needed so that way you can properly set up your trading plan. When you go in there with that full objectivity, you should be fine. And then the other side of it is greed. And greed is one of the things that, that drives us. And I could tell you this right now, there was a lot of money that was flowing through the market. We had over 200 point drop earlier in this week. And then today we rose, I want to say somewhere around 2 to maybe even 250 points back the other way. So there was a lot of money. And, as traders, we make money on the appreciation and depreciation of the market. So today is to reset ourselves, because I do not want for fear and greed to come in and hamper your decision making when you're taking your trades in the middle of this week. So let's go ahead and understand that we are running our own race. All right. So let's really analyze the psychology of greed, right? Greed is designed to kind of like let us know, hey, there's more than enough opportunity. We need to keep on attacking this opportunity. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on fighting. Let's keep on let's push. If I could get that one more impulsive candle to the right direction, right? It is a very, very, very powerful emotion, but you cannot have too much of a good thing. So that's one of the reasons why I look at the fact that, yes, even though fear does help us a lot when it's all said and done, it's very important that you control greed. It's a very powerful emotion, but you got to control the greed, because too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So if you get too wrapped up on the greed, if you get too wrapped up on always almost like attacking the market and trying to make as much money on every single trade that you take, guess what ends up happening? You may turn around and get retraced on, and depend on where your entry is, that greed can be a problem, right? And then the other one is fear, right? Fear, your first reaction in fear is, oh my God, I'm very afraid of what's going on. And then you're late to your entry. But you should look at fear as something, as a tool of, I need to have a stop loss. And even if they stop me out, thank God I'm out of the trade, and it didn't cost me as much money as it could have cost me, right? So I want you to really understand the impact of that going into this week. So be fearful, but be very strategic. If it hits your stop loss, then that's okay. But be fearful that you can enter in the wrong part of the position, have your stop loss already set. Be greedy. It's okay to be greedy. So we're here to maximize how much money we can make in the market. So it's very important that you get greedy, but don't do it too much. Have your targets. What are you looking for? Do not go into an order block thinking it's going to go ahead and go to the moon. And then you see the order blocks right in front of you. Now you're being too greedy. There's a high probability that the retracement is going to hit you, right? So that's the other part of it. All right. So let's go to the next slide. All right. So we've talked about this before. What is the importance of individuality when it comes down to trading, right? The purpose of the individuality is because of this, right? There's only another individual on the other side. It doesn't matter how much capital they have on that side. It doesn't matter if it's an institutional candle or institution person that's back there, or it could be another retail trader. Whatever the case may be, that individual, right, is you. You're fighting with you on every single one of those trades. So when you're taking your trades, position yourself properly to follow your execution of your trading plan. Develop that identity. That's why I asked, are you a scalper? Are you a swing trader? Are you the type of person that needs to have a lot of time and you're only trading once per day? Like you only can allocate a certain amount of time because you have to go to work. Understand that you have to embrace that individuality. If you feel like you've overextended yourself this week, I'm telling you, come back and reset. Know who you are as a trader. Know how many trades you should take. Know how many trades you should not take. So that way you can be able to be very objective inside of the market. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next slide. All right, so I want you to think of this, right? When Steve Jobs came into this whole entire world itself, he was like, look, I want to make a computer. And then later on, he was like, I got kicked out of my own company because they felt like some type of way of how his demeanor, or how he moves around in the marketplace within his own company. So he kind of created those enemies, but it never changed his vision, right? So if the market is punching you in the face, right? And it almost like tells you, hey, guess what? You're not a trader, right? That's all right. You got to have vision. You have to have creativity. You got to be able to take the punches from the market and still be able to roll with them, because you got to remember, he was very much a visionary. He had the idea of the iPod when he was pretty much not in his company, right? And he was looking like, hey, you know, Microsoft got this thing, which is the Zoom and everything else, but what if it was better, right? So he actually had the vision. He had the visionary mindset to always be working. If you're always working on your craft, then guess what? You'll be able to start working and start to turn into a success. All right, maybe you don't need a circle dial. Maybe you need a button. Maybe you don't need a button. Maybe you make a touchscreen. These are the things that Steve Jobs was going when he actually made the iPod, and then it led to the iPhone, and this is where we are today, right? So if you're taking trades and trades look like they're going against you and everything else, this is why triage comes into play. You got to know what works and what doesn't work. Imagine if he had the iPod, right? And he didn't give it to no one to use, right? And then he never wrote any notes or anything of the success or what it can do, what it can't do, and anything else. He'll just keep on pumping out iPods without any information on how he can enhance and make it better. So it's very important that you triage and journal your trades. That way you can know where the flaws are, where you fall in place, and then have the visionary aspect so that way you can be able to attack the market in a proper way. All right. So try to keep that as you're going into this week as well. Let's go to the next slide. All right. So let's think of Elon Musk and embracing risk, right? Elon Musk, when he embraced risk, and a lot of people don't know this, he actually took money specifically from Tesla. It's his company. He could do whatever he wants. It's in his back pocket, right? But he took money and said, I want to make a space company. He has no history of making rocket ships. He knew the pieces that he needed. He knew what he was looking for. He asked the right questions, but that was a risky event. He didn't know if it's the right time to enter the market. He didn't know what type of climate space was. Well, actually, let me take that back. He didn't know what the type of climate. The government was starting to pull funding from places like NASA and everything else, but he had a vision very similar to Steve Jobs, right? To look at it in a very objective, in a forest type of mentality, away from everything else. And then when he started getting into the details of it, he got the right pieces in place. So as you're embracing your trade and you're starting to take those risks on, you have to look at your trade as, you know what? I'm going to take some of this capital. This could be used for my family and everything else, but I know out of this, if this goes down 10, 15, 20%, I'm pulling the money out. That trade's not working. Because I could tell you this right now, Elon Musk was bleeding out a lot of cash for SpaceX, but he saw that there were certain setups that was in place and he was going in the right direction in that type of space or that market itself. So as he started really digging in deep and trying to make those decisions as far as how far he's going to take SpaceX, guess what ended up happening? It ended up being very viable. He's able to launch rockets. Then he can expand in that vision. Reusable rockets. NASA never developed reusable rockets. So now he's taking that challenge on and he's doing a relatively good job with that. Hence the reason why he took the risk on putting the autopilot inside in the vehicles. He's looking in the aspect of how can I get as much data on autopilot so that way he can advance other sides of his business, which is very similar to what's going on with SpaceX. They have some of the autopilot features as well. All right. So just keep that in mind when you're embracing risk. The risk is okay, but you got to know your risk, embrace the risk, accept the risk. So that way the fear and the anxiety gets off of you and you can be able to attack the market. All right. So ultimately, and as I start to wrap this up, ultimately, this is your race. This is not my race. This is not such and such race. This is not, oh, you know what? Well, such and such gave me this trade out of Trade Hero. That's that race. No, the moment you click that button, that is your race, not my race. Okay. So it's very important how much you understand where your target's going to be. How much money are you going to attack there? How are you going to manage that trade? Because as trade managers, that's what we are. We're risk managers. We're basically like hedge funds. We're the ones that's managing, but our portfolios it's our portfolio, right? So you got to be able to manage those risks so that way you can be overall successful. All right. So remember, it is your race. So let's go ahead and get into some practical tools for mindfulness in trading, because you got to be aware and awake at the wheel. Okay. So you got to have mindfulness going into the market. Let's go ahead and get into the next slide. Actually, I think I flipped the slides. Yeah, I put that backwards. All right. So some of the practical tools for mindfulness in trading, right? So one of them, self-awareness and emotional check. And everything I'm giving you in this list itself, I want you to look at it in a perspective of, how am I going to be able to journal this so that way I know what type of trade I took in the moment that I actually executed with my broker? So self-awareness and emotional check-in, right? So ask yourself before you even start the day, hey, is the day sunny? Hey, have I had a great day? Did I eat breakfast? Did I actually put myself in the most optimal position so that way I can be successful? Think of a weight trainer. A weight trainer is not just going in and roll out of bed, change into their gear, and then just go to the gym. They're making sure they eat certain types of food that gives them energy so they can be able to do the workout. They're also hydrating so that way they can protect themselves in that regard as well. So self-awareness and emotional check-in. What type of mindset are you in? Are you upset? Did you end up, having an argument with your family the night before and you're carrying it on to the next day? You have to put yourself in the position to know those type of information and do that wellness check-in. All right. Journaling, that going back to what I was saying, journaling and reflective analysis. It's very important that you journal those traits. We've said this over and over again, right? Think of it as, you cannot just sit there and connecting dots all day. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look at where you came from so that way you can know where you're going. So if you're just sitting there connecting all these dots and everything else, but you don't know where you came from, after a while, you're going to get lost. Be like, all right, what was the strategy I had? I know they told me to use the 617 EMA, but I tweaked it because such and such said 821 is a little bit slower. Maybe I like it. But what was the results? How did it work for you? reflective analysis allows you to look back so that way you can make the better step forward. All right. So setting boundaries and limits. Now, this one is going to be different for some of my day traders. You already know, as day traders, we trade probably much almost all day. It just depends on what your perspective, but people kind of tap in into our trading floors. But maybe you need to limit yourself. Maybe you need to only have an hour, 2 hours. One of our members itself, she trades mostly the London session. Maybe that is a limitation and boundary because New York session is too fast. Like, these are the things that you have to kind of like apply to yourself and set these boundaries and limits, assess them by journaling and reflective analysis, and then you should be able to do some very mindful type of trading. All right. So educate on market climates. I don't want to get too deep in this, but you already know from our floor, we use a lot of my FX books. We look at the potential climate that we're going to be facing as news drop, how it's going to affect our trades, how it's going to affect the market. We try to almost anticipate to a certain degree where we will take our entries based on levels if they hit them with the news event. So those things you got to understand. What cycle are we in? We're going into the fourth quarter. What type of seasonality is the ticker that you're trading? I can tell you this right now. You don't get watermelons in winter. I'll just tell you that right now. You get it in the summer. Why is that? Because there's certain type of seasonality when they're ready for the picking. So you got to do your homework and educate yourself on market climates is the first step in that. All right. Scenario planning. That's part of your whole entire trading plan, right? If this happens, then I'll do that. If that happens, then I'll do this. These are the things that's very important when you are taking a trade, and we're asking y'all over and over again to make sure you have a proper trading plan, because it removes the emotion. That way you don't have to do major overhaul of emotional check-ins. That's some of the reason why we make a lot of mistakes in our trades. We either get out of the trades too early because we're too fearful, or we stay in the trade too long because we're too greedy. So when we start to really assess how the market's going to move, it's very important that you really assess that scenario planning. All right. A diversification and portfolio rebalancing. All right. This one is very key. You made $1,000 today. You made money, right? But that was in your risky trades. This is for your day trades or your swing trades or whatever. Take some of the money out, put it in something that is very stable, like your Apples or your McDonald's, or something that pays dividends. Do some research on that market climate. Maybe it's not a good time to buy McDonald's, but you can buy McDonald's and save this money to the side and let that money grow when it's ready, right? This is how you can rebalance your portfolio and be in the right headspace. And the last one that I would love for you to do is mindfulness and meditation. So how are you going to be able to do that? You're going to have to really hamper down and buckle down on who you are. However way you do your meditation, I'm not going to go into the religious state or anything like that, but if that's something that you want to do so that way you can be one with yourself, it's very important that you are able to do that, so that way when the market knocks you around, you can hold firm. You can hold firm to the market because, hey, I know this is the setup that I'm looking for. This is what I'm getting into. This is my strategy. This is the type of climate. It might not last as long because it's choppy, or this thing can run because we're trending. You got to put all those things together. And for you to be able to do that, you have to be in a very serene mindfulness and a certain point emotionally, so that way you can be very objective in the market. All right. So that said, that is pretty much our conclusion there. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I look forward to working with y'all. I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for some of our members that's on our floor. Anyone wants to share how their trades today was? Did you make a lot of money today? Did you have any challenges that you faced? Anyone wants to tap in? Or we could call it a little early if you like. Okay. Looks. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You must be at work, Dr. Dorothy, are you? Oh, you unmuted. You have something you want to share?
No, I unmuted accidentally. I am at work. sneaky
Oh,
and listen to you.
okay.
How are you doing, brother? Thank you again. I always am so uplifted once I hear you. And this presentation was great. But yes, I am at work. So I'm gonna mute again.
No worries, no worries. Okay, cool, cool. No, that's no problem. Again, the whole purpose of mindset, it's very important that you express if you actually face something that was very challenging and you felt like I need to get this off my chest, or you had a really, really good day. The whole purpose is get it out there, celebrate it, and then when you walk into the market tomorrow, you come right back to zero. So if there's no one that wants to share, we'll end the video here. By all means, you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, or it's now X, however way they kind of call that stuff down. All right. So last call for anyone wants to share.
This is just a question, Jeff.
Okay.
Last time when you were doing the trading view thing, when you
Mhm,
make your analysis and stuff like that,
mhm.
I don't know, maybe I had to be on a laptop, but I wanted to support you by, giving the rockets out and stuff like that, but I couldn't. I didn't
Oh,
know.
absolutely. So what you want to do, let me go ahead and grab a trading view chart. I'll bring that over. So yeah, by all means, right? You want to go ahead and just search for me. And normally you'll find it in like publishing and live stream and stuff like that. But if you actually go and search for my profile, you'll find my profile here, right? And you can search individuals all in here and everything else. And then just look for JD the Great and you'll find me. This is my link to everything. Also, you will see all of my streams. This is my streams right here. And then you could just go ahead and click any one of those streams. This was the one I did earlier this morning, a quick little recap of it. And then you could just go in there and what we're looking for is the rocket. I don't think I can do the rocket for myself. But yeah, it should. Oh, there it is. Rocket right there. So if you could click that rocket, that would be greatly appreciated. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
worries. I got you.
All right. All right. Anyone else? Great day, bad
Hey,
day?
this is Melina. I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I want to journal, but I feel like there's so many. One, there's a lot of trades that I do take, right? And then also, two, there's a lot of those stop limit, buy orders, cancellations. Is there a
Mhm.
way to like download it or something? Instead of having to key it in, because sometimes I forget. Did I get into
Yeah,
a sell or did I get into a buy? And because I'm shorting and selling all at the same time, so that I get kind of confused at that as well.
absolutely. Yeah. So if you go to, like, for example, let me do the paper trading account, right? If you go in and you actually get your transaction, you should be able to download them. I want to say it is not the setting there. Oh, export data right there. Export it. Account history, trading journal. I think trading journal is the one that kind of breaks it down like this, where it does the order, what did you do, and everything else. But account history kind of does it with the P&L. So you could do something like that, export data, account history, export, and then you should be able to find that in your download folders. I think it comes up like, let's see, where is
So
it?
then with Trade Evade, if I have that connected, I should be able to download the same. It should be the same, right?
Correct, exactly.
Okay. I'll do that then. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Any other questions, comments? How y'all did in mindset? Or how y'all did in your trades, I should say. All right. Let's go ahead and end it here. I appreciate everyone that came in, chimed in as well. If you want to join one of the greatest communities that is ever built, I would say, come over to cheatcode.com. We have a great community. I think we surpassed like 3,000 signups and registration, and our Discord is like somewhere around 18,000. So yeah, by all means, come join the community. Oh, go ahead, Doctor.
I do have one question.
Mhm.
Um, I saw where Brother Quay was advertising for the new book, and I do
Mhm.
want to get it. Do you have any idea, and if you don't, would you suggest that they sign a couple of the books?
Oh, I'll send it to the powers that be and see what
Yeah.
can be done.
Yeah, because
Um,
I'd like to have that the first book like that. I'd like to have their autographs in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll reach out to the powers that be. I'll ask them if they can. I don't
Okay.
see where it could be a problem to do so. But I'll let you know.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. All
Thanks.
right. So we'll end mindset here. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you on the trading floor tomorrow. Later, y'all.